David McLaughlin get his read on where we stand on Election Day. He's former Chief of Staff for Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, who served, of course, as Progressive Conservative Prime Minister from 1984 to 1993. Happy voting day, David. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Todd.
All right, so I got through that, gives our viewers a sense of where things kind of stand. Your take, and we will bring in some of the polling numbers here, the final ones, which continue to show the Liberals with a slight advantage over the Conservatives. What's your gut telling you, my friend? You've been around for a long time. You know Canadian politics.
Well, today moves from a national election to 338 local elections. So what we have is what we call get out the vote campaign now. So every candidate, every local campaign is trying to mobilize their vote and get it out the door into the ballot box. And so that is always unpredictable because some campaigns are better organized than others, and that helps create some of the surprises on election night. This is going to be a big turnout election. Canadians are mobilized. They're very concerned about this election, and that actually makes it a little harder to predict because some of the campaign ground games are better than others. Some of them will be more effective at generating that vote. But I think as you mentioned, Todd, when you look at the polls, the Liberals continue to be ahead. They've been ahead throughout the whole campaign, but there's been just enough tightening towards the end to make it interesting. So we're going to find out.
We're going to show those nanos numbers if we can, David, as you and I are talking, just to give people a sense of where things stand. This is the final set of polls done for CTV and the Globe and Mail. As of Sunday, the 27th of April, just one day only. Again, the Liberals at 42.6 and the Conservatives at 39.9, ever so close to that magic 40 number as well. As you know, very important for Conservatives. And if we look at preferred Prime Minister, Mark Carney really way ahead as he has been throughout this, but at 51.9, Pierre Poilievre at 32.1. You know, to a certain extent, a lot of things broke for Mark Carney in the way that I gather a lot of people didn't think were going to happen. Much of that has to do with Trump. And again, the president once today, David, injecting himself into the campaign. I wonder what effect you think that may or may not have when Trump starts to go on about, you know, becoming a 51st state on Election Day.
Well, that's a gift to the Liberals, and there's no question. It plays right into their ballot question. And you see Carney's leadership numbers as best PM. That has been what's been carrying the Liberal campaign. And if you think about it, both campaigns, both leaders have had anchors, political anchors, holding them back. For Mark Carney, it was Justin Trudeau and the record of the government and whether or not people really wanted to give them, the Liberals, a fourth mandate. For Pierre Poilievre, it's been Donald Trump right from the get-go. And so that last message that you showed earlier of Mr. Poilievre sort of pushing back at Mr. Trump on the 51st state, that is something that he should have been doing right from the get-go, early on. And I think he'd be having a little less trouble on that. But the fact that he feels there's still a need to say this shows just how much the whole Trump-America dynamic has been a political anchor on the Conservative campaign.
Yeah, you wonder what the president may or may not be thinking by this, David. Any ideas?
Well, is he even thinking? I mean, it's Donald Trump. I mean, you read it, you sort of look and say, well, yeah, he'd like to be president of Canada, too, because he clearly thinks he's the best candidate on there. Look, he can't help himself. He wants to. It's always about Trump. It's about himself and getting attention. And so this is one more troll. But Canadians have been paying enough attention to this that it has worked its way into the campaign where people are actually thinking, you know what? What if he is serious? What if this is something that we need to take seriously and take steps to address? And that has been driving a lot of the political discourse. So as you know, over the last few months, and it has been the reason for the Liberal resurgence from the political deathbed just 3 months ago.
How would you characterize the Conservative campaign, David?
I think it's been a very sort of stasis campaign. They ran the campaign that they wanted to run against Mr. Trudeau. You know, it was very much showing contrast to the Liberal government, and they were slow to recognize, I think, the Trump dynamic. And so even at the end, they got it down to their ballot question, which is about change. And the last 10 days, it's only been Mr. Poilievre and the Conservatives have only been talking about change. So, it is helping to consolidate their vote. It's just a question of whether or not that's going to be enough of that. They're going to get enough votes to get them over the top. We saw the Nanos numbers. Mr. Poilievre at 39%. I mean, this is 4 to 5 points higher than they've ever been, in the last 4 elections. But that vote is not very efficient. It tends to be concentrated in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and other parts of the country that yields bigger Conservative majorities, but not more Conservative seats. So that's something we will have to watch for tonight as well.
Speaking of regions, which ones are you going to be watching for, David, tonight as the election results start to come in? What do you think?
Well, Quebec out of the gate. If Carney and the Liberals are going to get their majority, they've got to be up over 40 plus seats, 45 seats in Quebec. The last time they did that was in 2015 when Mr. Trudeau won his majority. They had 40 seats. They're doing well in Ontario, so they have 78 plus seats now. They need to retain that, add a few more, so get them into the at least the low 80s. And then I think we're going to be up late, Todd. I think we're going to be watching BC to see how it actually plays in the end. I think BC will determine whether or not it's a majority or minority for the Liberals.
One last question. Why you think there is so much voter engagement? Why you believe that this election, David, is so crucial for Canada?
There's no question the American dynamic and Trump and the tariffs piece. I mean, Canadians get it, that we realize that, look, we're on a bit of an economic pivot here, that things are going to be different, that things have changed in terms of our relationship with the United States. And so we're looking at two things. We're looking at who is the best leader to take us through that. And so the kind of prime minister who is on offer for prime minister, absolutely resonating with Canadians. And then I think people want to have a clear sense of direction for the country for after the election so that we are more economically, financially resilient. So I think no question in my mind, it's the American dynamic. If it had been a traditional election with certainly Mr. Trudeau and the Liberals going against Mr. Poilievre, I think we would have called it for the Conservatives probably about 2 weeks ago. A little different tonight.
David McLaughlin, former Chief of Staff to then Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Hey, David, can I get your agreement to come back on the show once all the dust settles and give me your take on where we stand?
Anytime, Todd. Good chatting with you.
Thanks so much for this.